Hello everyone, I'm John Stewart. I'm from Bell Buckle, Tennessee, originally, escapee from Southern California. Now living in Bell Buckle, Tennessee, and a member of Blue Ribbon Coalition for, 20 some years. And I've been on the board of directors of the Blue Ribbon Coalition for 10 years. I've served as president, treasurer, and the chair of the Legal Action Committee. I became interested in off-road recreation and what's happening to off-road recreation after a life-changing event in the mid-'80s where I was no longer married and ended up out with time on my hands and started exploring the Southern California desert and found all these wilderness study areas, road closed, wilderness areas, and just really started investigating, seeing what was happening there, and finding that access to the public lands was being closed off for a number of different reasons. And at that time, in the late 80s, there were very few organizations that had experience or had even the wherewithal to really begin fighting these land closures. A lot of it was remote areas. It really did not impact some of the high recreation value areas. But like I said, that was in the late 80s, and that direct impact on the people became later. And that's where organizations like California Four-Wheel Drive Association, Blue Ribbon Coalition, and the United Four-Wheel Drive at the time have stepped up to try to bring people together and try to influence legislation and land managers in order to provide for recreation opportunities. During my time and activities within the land use arena, I spent 17 years as a natural resource consultant for the California Four-Wheel Drive Association. Within that time frame, I developed a lot of good close relationships, working relationships with the U.S. Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management, with a lot of interesting programs and projects and things coming down the line. A lot of the renewable energy factors in Southern California. I was one of a couple of people that helped save recreational access to the Southern California deserts in developing the desert renewable energy programs. It's just, there's a plethora of other items that access into the Sequoia National Forest. The Sequoia National Forest, Cal Four-Wheel was involved in a lawsuit many years ago trying to open up what is now the National Monument. When the final planning and everything came around, I was on the team of recreation groups and other groups that had filed the lawsuit and were, looking to develop a management plan for the Sequoia. At the end of it, we salvaged recreation, not off-road recreation per se, but we salvaged recreational access through campgrounds, through other trips, through winter fun trips through the area. And I helped found the Giant Sequoia National Monument Association in order to get the local people helping and to keep that place open. And again, throughout the California OHMVR program, I was one of a team that was instrumental in creating SB 742, which took the program from having to be renewed every few years into a permanent program that resided under the control of the California State Parks. That changed a lot of the dynamics of the California Grants program, and a lot of ways for the better of it. Now, as we look forward to the future, I see one of the biggest problems we have facing recreation is the drive to move to electric vehicles. In other words, the internal combustion engine is, by some standards, probably on its dying, gasping steps, but we still have a lot of life left in them. But if the changes come around are not beneficial, then recreation is going to suffer. whole lifestyles are going to have to change dramatically. And how do we manage to change? How do we deal with it? Time will tell. I think the legacy of Blue Ribbon is continuing with what it has been, is defending the public's right to and access to public lands. Whether the internal combustion engine survives or whether electric vehicles come in or whatever happens, there is still going to be a fight to keep public lands open. The current 30 by 30 process and the old Wildlands project are still real dangers to public access to lands, and even whether it be for hiking, for skiing, for hunting, fishing, anything that you get in the outdoors for taking a family out for a picnic in the woods. Those things are important.